So we are now in the last couple days of this graphing linear functions and identifying slope and rate of change unit. So today we are moving into something called the standard form of a linear equation. So we are still graphing like we graphed for the last 2 days, but this time we're graphing from a different form and we are turning it into the form that we graphed with on the first day. So what standard form is it's an equation written like this. There's a number with your x, then there's a number with your y, and it equals your constant. That's called standard form. If you look at this example, I have a number with x plus I have a number with y equals I have a constant. So this is standard form. Standard form is very useful for a few ways that we'll learn later on this semester. But for today, what we're going to do with standard form is we're going to convert this into slope-intercept form by solving for y. So to solve for y, what we need to do is, let's look at what it says right here. All right, let's go, here we go. Okay, so it says step 1, circle the letter that you want alone. So it says we are solving for y. So y is the letter that I want by itself, which means I want this to move away from it and I want this to move away from it. So just like we did when we had equations, I like to put a line on my equals to show that I have two different sides of this equation. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the term that is not attached to the letter by adding or subtracting. So what that means, this 5 is attached to the letter that I'm solving for. So I don't move him yet. So I'm going to take this one. It's not attached to the y. So this has to go. So we're going to get rid of him first. So if this is a 3x, to get rid of it, we are going to subtract 3x. Over here, subtract 3x. This will become 0. 3x's minus 3x's. There are no x's there. So now I am going to I have a 5y equals. Now my 3x and my 20 are not like terms. Do not do 20 minus 3. It's not going to work. This is an x. This is a number. So I'm going to write them next to each other. This is negative 3x, and that was a positive 20. Okay, so step 1, circle the letter. I circled that y. Step 2, move the term that's not attached. I subtract 3x to the other side. It's good to put the x first and then the constant in the back. You'll see why in just a second. So last step, move that word is called a coefficient. We're going to move the coefficient, that's the number that's attached to the variable, and in this case we're going to do that by dividing. So what that means is that my y is almost by itself. It's so close to being alone. So to get it completely by itself, I need to divide every number by that 5. If I can get rid of that 5, then the y will be by itself. But whatever I do on the left side of the equation, I need to also do on the right side. So I took every number and I'm dividing it by this 5. That leaves me with y equals, this does not reduce, negative 3 over 5 will stay as it is. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Woohoo! That's the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So now that I have a slope and a y-intercept, that means that I have an m and I have a b. So I'm going to make my information box. My m is a negative 3 over 5. My b is going to go in the back of the ordered pair. So now I graph. I begin at 4. These are tiny. Oh my goodness. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. I move with my slope. It's negative. So we go down 3, right 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Connect your dots. This is the graph of the line y equals negative 3/5 x plus 4. So it seems like a lot, but once you do it a few times, it becomes very, very, very easy. I promise. So let's look at the second example together. Step 1. Circle the letter that you want alone. I want this y by himself so I can graph this. I put a border down my equal sign, so I separate my two sides. Now, the 2 steps, very easy. Step 1, move your x. They are an x for a reason. Get rid of them. Minus 2x. Goodbye. That leaves me with negative 4y equals. I put the x first. Negative 2x plus 16. Do not combine the 16 and the minus 2. They're not the same. Make sure in this step you're subtracting 2x. You're not just subtracting 2. You need the whole thing to go away. Minus 2x. Minus 2x. Last step, get y by itself. To get y by itself, you divide by the exact number. I jokingly call him the stalker because he hangs out here till the very end. This exact number has got to go. So I divided it by negative 4. So that leaves me with a y equals. This simplifies negative 2 over negative 4 is a positive 1/2. There's an x there. If you struggle with simplifying fractions, press Control Divide and type negative 2 over negative 4. It will make sure that you simplified your fraction correctly as 1 over 2. So now I need to simplify this. 16 divided by negative 4 is the number minus 4. That is the equation in slope-intercept form. We started in standard, and then I solved for y, and I have slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form has an x and a y, which means my equation has an m and a b. My m is the number attached to the x. It's a 1/2. My b is a negative 4, so I put it in the back of an ordered pair. B stands for begin, so I begin at negative 4. M stands for move. It's positive. I go up 1, right 2. That is hideously ugly. Try that again. Up 1, over 2. Up 1, over 2. Up 1, over 2. Draw enough dots that you can get from the left side of the graph to the right with a nice long line with arrows on the end. This line would go on forever and ever and ever in this up 1 and over 2 pattern. So let's go ahead and flip to the back for me, please. Let's look at just a couple more, and then I will let you work on your own. We'll look at these last 2. Whee, come on. What did I do? There we go. Here we go. Okay, let's practice. So in number 1 on the practice page, I first circle the letter that I want to get alone. We are solving for y. So I circled the y. I draw a border down my equal sign to help me separate the left side from the right side of the equation. So now, solving for y is just 2 mathematical steps, not difficult. First thing we do, get rid of your x. They are an x for a reason. Get rid of them. 3x minus 3x is no more x's. That leaves me with a positive 7y equals. These are not like terms. Don't put them together. I purposely don't line them up so that way I'm not tempted to put them together. They're not the same. Put the x term first. That way it's easier to see your slope in a minute. Put your constant term in the back. Get y by itself. To get y by itself, we divide by the exact coefficient that was attached to the y. Look at that. Y is now by itself. So y equals negative 3 over 7 does not reduce, it stays negative 3 over 7. 14 over 7 does reduce, that's a positive 2. Voila, 2 steps. Once you get everything set, we move the x to the other side. That was a positive 3, so I had to subtract 3x. Subtract 3x. Divide by the number attached to the y. That's called a coefficient. We divide by the coefficient. So now that I have an x and a y, that means, you know it, we have an m and we have a b. Draw your information box. My m is a negative 3 over 7. My b is 2, so I put a 2 in the back of the ordered pair. I begin at 2 on my y-axis. That's called the y-intercept. I move down 3 and right 7. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Same thing other direction. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I graph the line from slope intercept form. I'm going to start you on number 2, and then you can go ahead and finish. We are solving for y. That's our goal. So I circle y to remind myself that that's what I need to get alone. X is the same as 1x. So I'm going to start by moving that x to the other side. Goodbye. Minus 1x. Minus 1x. That leaves me with a negative 2. Don't forget that negative is still there. Y equals negative 1x plus 8. Get y by itself by dividing by my constant, coefficient, not constant, sorry guys, coefficient, the number in front is a negative 2. Goodbye. So that leaves me with y equals is now by itself. Simplify negative 1 over negative 2 is a positive 1/2 x. 8 divided by negative 2 is a minus 4. I solved for y. It will always look like y equals mx plus b. Graph this for me. There's an x and a y, which means there also has to be an m and a b. Easy. Not too difficult at all. So you're graphing number 2 on the back. Okay. I want you to try number 3. Same thing. With number 3, this is a negative 1y. Makes it easier when there's that 1 there. So now whatever you get, let's see who's actually paying attention to these videos here. Whatever you get as your answer for this one, y equals something x plus or maybe minus something. Whatever you get here, I want you to write it in the comments of this video. Then to all of my Spring Woods algebra students, whoever writes the correct version of this thing solved for y, and you write that in the comments in this video, I will find you. I know where all of your classes are, so I will find you and I will bring you a treat if you are correct. Solve for y. Write y equals in the comments. Your name is going to be on your comments, so I will find you. I'll find your class and I'll bring you a treat for watching these videos and getting to the y equals. So go ahead and try number 3, try number 4, and then try the next worksheet. Solve for y, graph it from a slope and a y-intercept. Thank you for watching these videos. We just have a little bit more from this unit, and then you will have your test next week.